Medley on Brave New Radio.
Yes, indeed you are. We have extended the reading circle this morning once again. And if you listen and you caught the show in the 6 o'clock hour, I had Tony Rose on, and we were talking about his book, America, The Black Point of View. And again, this interview that we're getting ready to have is a perfect, and I do mean perfect dovetail to what Tony and I have been talking about for the last hour 15, last hour 20 minutes. And that is this whole notion of growing up, first off, growing up black. And not necessarily growing up black in a suburban or middle class community, but really having to deal with poverty, low economics, and everything else that comes along with that. Tony and I were talking about that as he wrote in his autobiography, as well as sharing his research and history of just the interactions of the various races, particularly African American and European in America. And as you all know, I share with you all the time that when I'm not on the air on the weekends, on Saturday mornings, during the week, I serve as the principal for a school. And that school, as you heard me say earlier, sits in an urban area. It sits in the lowest economic area of the city. Paterson is the third largest city in the state of New Jersey, and it has 6 wards. And the ward of which the school that I serve in sits in the lowest economic area in the city. There are about 2-3 wards that are in the lower economic areas, and the rest of the wards, they hold their own. But there's about 2 or 3 wards in there that really are economically depressed. And anybody that can tell you, because everybody thinks it's about black and white, but the truth of the matter is it's about green. And the green drives everything else. So if you're now in a situation, as you heard Tony and I talking about, wherein you're in an economically depressed area, it drives everything else, including behavior and psyche and everything else. So this young lady that's on the air with me now, I have known her for years. Her daughter actually served as a teacher in one of the schools that I served in as principal. I have known her for years. And we, for the last 7 or 8 weeks, because she came to my school to talk to the parents about some of the aberrant behaviors that we were seeing out of children. And from that meeting, she, along with some other folks, got together and said, we're going to put together a program for these particular set of boys. And for the last 7 Saturdays, with the exception of the Memorial Day weekend, we've been together. When I leave this show, I leave here at 9, I go straight to that program. And until 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we've been working with about 20 boys, originally 40. But only about 50% of them, 20 of them came, which says something in and of itself. But for those 20 who was there, they have been treated to an experience. And who headed this program up is Sergeant Sharon Easton. And she is the supervisor of the Community Policing Division for the Paterson Police Department. She's been in the police force and she'll tell you how many years, but as I said, I've known Sharon for a long time. I call her Sharon, but she is Sergeant Easton. And, she still calls me Mr. Medley. I try to tell her she can call me Mark, but she still calls me Mr. Medley. But in any event, she is on the air with me now. I texted her last night and said, you know what, call in tomorrow because today is the last day of our program and we're doing something special with the parents and the community. And I wanted to talk a little bit about it on the air. So Sharon, welcome, or shall I say Sergeant Easton, welcome to the Reading Circle with Marc Medley.
Thank you, Mr. Medley. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
I am too, particularly since I had such a good one on this same topic with a brother that called in from Los Angeles. So now I've had the West Coast, which is Los Angeles, and I've had right here at home. So first off, you gave me a real brief little bio when you tell me that, she said she's sergeant and she supervises the community. Talk to me a little bit about how everything began, your beginnings. How did you decide to become a police officer? It's kind of like, I want you to talk a little bit about your story while we're on the air here, while we have the time.
Oh, okay, great. I'm from the first ward. I was born and raised here in Paterson. I grew up in CCP projects. I actually attended school for the school that you're principal of. And when I was probably in the 5th grade, I decided I wanted to be a police officer because I had the mentors of the Smoot brothers. I would just watch how they interacted with people, and I thought they were brave, and I thought they were kind, and I saw people coming to them, and they helped them whatever their situation was. And at the age of 10, I knew that I wanted to be a police officer. It was just how do I get there? I wasn't sure how to get there, but I knew that I wanted to do it. So I've been a police officer. I've been with the Paterson Police Department for going on 32 years, and I've been a police officer for 26 years.
And the thing is, see, and Sharon's a fine sister. She is. I mean, if you see her, never know she was a police officer. She take that uniform, any uniform for that matter. She's a fine sister. You wouldn't expect her to come up and say, "I'm a police officer." She's one to have to deal with all. She's going to have to deal with all these perps and all these things. But again, if you once she takes the uniform off, fine, statuesque African American female. And I'm saying all that because she's a role model in so many different ways. And if you heard me say this program was for boys, not girls, it was for boys. But she does so many other things. We did a tour last week in the Passaic County Jail. And one of the first things the officers said, or it might have even been one of the inmates, was they had never known Sharon not to be doing something with children. They have never known her not to be trying to do something to uplift children. And we've had so many different conversations, and even one of them have been in terms of, with all this stuff that's going on around the country with the perception of police, we've even talked about how with the children that we're serving is how can we engage them with the police wherein they would want to one day become a police officer just like she did. All right, so the program that we've been doing, the actual name of it is the Napier Academy Male Bulldogs of Brilliance Saturday program, okay? Because that's one of the things I call the kids at the school, that our mascot is Bulldog. And so I kind of came there and said, okay, we're not going to focus on the negative. We're always going to focus on the positive. So I call them Bulldogs of Brilliance. So on Saturday mornings, it's the Napier Academy Male Bulldogs of Brilliance Saturday program, which is at the Hope Center, 60 Temple Street. Sharon and I and a host of other people. She is pulled in the Sheriff's Department. She's pulled in the Police Department. She's pulled in the Paterson Board of Education. She's pulled in Assemblymen. She's pulled in the fraternities. She's pulled, I mean, there's so many groups that have come to us. Matter of fact, I have a whole bunch of thank you letters I'm going to need to write before it's all said and done. To speak with these young men. Talk to me a little bit about, like, what has that experience been like? Let's roll the tape back. That day when you came to the school and we had the meeting with the parents and the students, talk a little bit about that and then work your way up to how this program began.
Okay. First, when Miss Darlene Morris, the parent coordinator, gave me a call, and she said, Sharon, I would like for you and Sergeant Price to come in to speak to a couple of students with some behavioral problems. So in my mind, I'm thinking, 5 or 6 kids, but when you get there and it's over 30 kids and their parents there, that's a lot of kids to have behavioral problems. And I thought to myself, not just with those students. So I'm trying to imagine how the other students who are coming to school who want to learn, how do they feel? And so I really based the program to try to help those students who are getting bullied in school by these kids who have these behavioral problems. So, what my mindset was it just wasn't to help the kids who had the behavioral problems, but it was also to help the kids who were having to deal with the kids who were having the behavioral problems, the teachers that were having to deal with over 30 students in the school who was having behavioral problems, to help you, a principal who does an excellent job with trying to build the mindsets of our students. How am I going to be able to help you make this school into the great school that you created with School 28 and School 6? So I wanted to be a part of doing something that was just a little bit different, not just to help those kids that had the behavioral problems, but to help the entire school change. So that's how that kind of came about with those students. And that day, I knew when I left from there, I knew that just speaking to the students and the parents was not enough, that I had to do a little bit more. I had to sacrifice something. And to give up Saturdays is to me, the students and those children are priceless. So it's really no sacrifice that's too deep for them. And so that's where that just came about. And I particularly have a fondness to helping males because I see that they can be detrimental to our community because on our community daily, the drug activity, the shootings, it primarily comes from the males. So maybe if we can help change their mindsets to make them know how awesome they are, how that they're, to me, King David and the Pauls of the world, then if I can instill something in them to build them up, that's what I want to do. So, it's a little, I get a little nervous when I have to talk about some of the things that I do, Mr. Medley. So you got to excuse if I start repeating some of the things. But I just have a really good heart for, and actually, I can say I just have, God has given me some discernment just to know what to do and who to deal with and how to deal with them. And to me, this program is just something I think that the Board of Education should actually implement for those students that have those behavioral problems. So hopefully we get to see these Saturday programs going on throughout the city. That's what my hope is.
Well,
my goal is.
I have to agree with you. And see, she's very humble. She is very, again, you would not, with everything that you constantly hear and read and see about police, Sharon is the exact opposite of that. And matter of fact, most officers are. That's why I never, ever jump on this police brutality bandwagon. Because as you heard Tony say in the last hour, the first challenge is to keep our folks from entangling with the law, from doing anything to break the law that would cause you to come across the police path. That's the first thing. But at the same time, we understand kind of what drives people to wind up tangling with the law. But Sharon, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, in regards to that, what right now the police department has a summer initiative going on where we come in at 3 p.m. and we stay till 3 a.m. And and we go actually the wards that we're in is the 1st ward and the 4th ward because that's where these shooter incidents have been occurring. So what we've done is that we moved the young people, and initially they wasn't crazy about it. They'll call us, the new phrase is opposition. You're an op. And so I told her, I don't bite my tongue. I don't allow disrespect. And I told them, I said, no, you're the opposition. You're the ones that's shooting. You're the ones who make communities unsafe. So I'm not the opposition because of my presence, because I'm here to make you safe. So once I got into their heads that you're free to roam the streets, up the hill can come down the hill, and down the hill could go up the hill because of the police presence in the area, and you have to act like the police are your visible safe shields. Stop looking at us like we're there to pull you over, to put you up against the fence, to do this to you. You have to look at the police. You pay us. We are your personal bodyguard.
Absolutely.
To make sure that you're safe. So that's the mindset that the African American, especially the urban community, that you have to believe now. You have to take advantage of the fact that you have a safe zone where all these police officers surrounding you. The parents can now come out with their children. They can now sweep in front of their doors. We move these crowds, these young people. But now I want to take the mindsets of the young people to say, listen, if I want jobs to come into my town, I have to be a part of making my town safe. The 1st ward and the first and 4th ward has the most abandoned houses that people just get up and leave because of you.
Correct.
Because of you. We have to not be afraid to tell the truth in our community to our young men. We keep wanting, not people fear them. Why? Because they 12-year-olds and 14-year-olds and 15-year-olds are being shot.
That's
people
right.
Fear you.
And you.
Now,
yeah, in terms of everything, no, I want you to keep going because everything that's going on, I told my wife and my sister and a few people the other day, because I watched the news and I listened to everything that's going on. I said, if we keep on fooling around, we're not going to get any police to come into the African American communities, because what they're going to say is, you know what? if we go in there and we try to help them, we get accused of brutalizing them and shooting them. So you know what? When we get that call to come to that community, we ain't going. Now, I know legally, and that's your job, that you can't do that. But I mean, I'm just thinking in terms of if I know if it were me, that's kind of like the mindset I would have. You know what? I'm not going to keep going over there and I'm going to keep getting accused of killing somebody or keep getting accused of brutalizing somebody. And when our job is to come and do exactly what you just said, protect and serve. So now you call me over there because something's going on. And then when something goes down, I get now accused of. I mean, so it is the craziest thing that's going on now.
Well, you know, I think, like, I listened to Mr. Claude Anderson last night, and he talked about marching. I don't have a problem with you wanting to march because you don't want our young people brutalized. Like Mr. Moody says, all that we want from the police department, I want any police officer to treat the people of Paterson the way you would treat the people of Wayne,
correct,
and the people of Helden. So I want them to be treated the same. However, our community has to make just a bigger fuss or even more of a fuss when our young men are shooting and killing 14 and 12 and 15-year-old boys and girls. We have to make just as much noise for the Nizeras, for
that's
the
correct,
Genesis, for the Amaris, as we do for the Mike Browns, the Garners. We have to make just as much noise when somebody else hurts. Every life matters.
Correct.
My life doesn't matter more because a white person shoots me. My life matters just as much as a black person shoots me.
Correct.
And we have to stand up now. I want us to stand up for both. I want to make sure that young people aren't being brutalized by the police, but I want to make sure that young people ain't brutalized in our community. And we have to stand up and say, enough is enough. We're going to do for both. And we have to start encouraging our young men to become police officers.
Yes.
That's how you change things from
yes.
the inside. If you think that you want change and you're going to say to Officer John, we want you to change, Officer John, but then you don't want to put anybody into the mix, listen, all police officers get paid very good money to ride around and have guns. You can do it legally. You don't have to do it illegally.
You know what? That's a very good point. Like, if you are that gun happy, get on the right side of the law.
That's it. And all it's about is protecting your town. That's all my job is to make sure that children, women, and the elderly and men are safe. This is the best job in the world. The best job in the world. And I can't say, no, that's ops, because they're scared because somebody's going to say that they're the opposition. That's the new word. So now they don't want to even become something productive in their community because they're afraid of what their friends say. And these are men. These are young men.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Afraid of what other people are going to say about them.
You're absolutely right. And see, it's crazy. I'm sitting here listening to you talk about the ops. So you're opposing doing right. That's what you're saying when you say the op. I'm in opposition to doing right. So therefore, is that good against evil? So I'm in opposition to doing what's right. Because police in and of itself is to police you to do the right thing or to help serve and protect you.
We're just we'll run to the movies and we'll go and we'll look at these superheroes, that protect the world from all of this. You can be your own community superhero by being a police officer. You are the shield around your police. That's what we are. And then we want other people to come in and protect our community for us.
Right.
You can be, listen, the test is not that hard. You could be, all you need is a New Jersey driver license, have no felony crimes, and a high school diploma. And you could be chief of police, to be honest with you.
That's right.
It's about testing.
That's
and then
right.
we'll get somebody saying, oh no, I don't want to be a police officer. Why not? Everybody else does. Everybody else. It's nice. You look and see these nice looking young people, and I think in my mind, did I look like that 26 years ago?
Right.
And you see, and I go, yes, I did. These other people, the hardest thing right now in the urban community is to actually encourage our young men to be firemen, policemen, EMTs, postman that only takes, I want them to go on to college or to go to a trade school, but all they have to do is get a high school diploma. And it's very difficult, and fill out the application, and it's very difficult for them to do that. However, I want to know who's the person who can create them and put in their minds that it's better to be a drug dealer selling $4 dope bags.
Right.
I don't know how that adds up.
Right. I don't either.
I'm dumbfounded. Like, how does that add up? That you want to sell $4 bags of dope in your community and think that you will make more money than a police officer who may start off at $32,000, but by the end of their career make $100,000.
And see, and that career does not necessarily have to be that long. In other words, what Sharon is saying is you could start the force at 22, 23, and by 43 to 45, retire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you can go on and do something else and still have all of your benefits with that salary she was just talking about. You could do 20, 25 years and go do a whole nother career starting off as a police officer. And again, I cannot emphasize enough what she's talking about. I'm going to share some information with you, but listening audience, you have got to get on all of your social media sites, pick up your telephones and text somebody, let somebody know that Sergeant Sharon Easton is on the air with me. And actually, Sharon and I are going to be together in about another hour, or a little over an hour, as we culminate the program that we've been working with these boys. And everything that she's talking about connects to what we're doing on Saturday morning with this particular set of kids that we're working with. And I will say this, Sharon, the number of write-ups that I've received about most of these boys has decreased significantly. Now, a couple of them are just like I called you the other morning. A couple of them are just what they want to do no matter what we do. But for the most part, the number of write-ups on those kids that we've been working with over the last 6-7 weeks, from the behavior has shifted, and the teachers have noted it. So we are having and making a difference. Let me share this information. I'm going to come back and talk. But listening audience, let someone, particularly if you are in the Paterson area, you're a Pattersonian, you're on my Facebook page and you live in Paterson, you need to make sure you're tuning in to gobrave.org or either 88.7 FM if you can pick it up. But certainly on the computer, you can pick it up because I know it's on and running. Let somebody know to go to gobrave.org because this, again, is an important conversation.
Say, Dave, do you know that One Direction had the #1 stadium tour this year?
No.
Do you know that YouTube won't make the same licensing deal with the indie labels that it does with the majors?
They won't?
Do you know that Vivo only airs videos from Sony and Universal and does not censor any material?
Hey, Steve, how do you know all this stuff?
Because last semester I tuned into Music Biz 101 and more on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. on WPSC Brave New Radio and heard industry guests talk about all of this stuff.
That's that cool show from the Music and Entertainment Industry Management Department on campus that you can call in or tweet questions about the music biz, right?
It's the only one in the country, and it's a Stitcher Radio podcast as well.
Wow, so the show airs live
every Wednesday at 8 p.m.
I bet they have great guests lined up. I'd like to learn more about touring using social media and DIY stuff.
Just coincidentally, the semester show will include tour manager Dave Laurie, social media whiz Sean Rosenberg, and from Clifton, Sean and Rachel from Blue Raven Entertainment.
When's that show on again?
Wednesday nights, 8 p.m., live only on 88.7 WPSC Brave New Radio.
And it's free!
Well, as I asked you to do as I was sharing that information with you was to get on and let somebody know that Sergeant Sharon Easton is on the air with me. All of my conversations that I have each Saturday morning are important, but I can't think of any that's more important than the conversations I've had this morning in terms of talking with Tony Rose in the 6 o'clock hour, and now I'm speaking with Sergeant Sharon Easton, who is in charge of or runs or supervises community policing. And she has been working with me for the last, or actually I should say it the other way, I've been working with her the last 7 weeks with some of the boys that go to my school to try to really change the game. And as I was saying right before I shared the information with you, it has done that for the bulk of these boys that we've been working with. She supervises the community policing division for the Paterson Police Department. You heard her say she's been a police officer for 26 years. And again, I agree with everyone that has said for as long as I've known Sharon, because I know you have the summit, the teen summit. I remember.
We also too started. I'm working with this fine group of young men now, and actually it was kind of the brainstorm of Director Special, he asked me if I would pull some of the men in the community together and try to help, calm some of the violence. And I went to the Brothers, Team Charity, the Street Keepers, Reverend McDuffie's, the Omegas, Benji Wimberly, Youth Services Bureau, Mr. Moody. We all been meeting just about every Wednesday. These men put together this truce. These men go out into the community and do these different things. And this God just has just touched me to be able to put my hands on so many men in the community. And that's what's part of making this program, the Saturday program, so good with these young boys. Do you mind if I just tell a little bit about what the topics have been?
I want you to tell anything you can tell. It is no holds barred.
Oh, okay, good. So, the first Saturday that we had starting in April, we actually had Mr. Smallwood, and he did Steps to Manhood with our boys. Then the second week, we did, you headed this, Mr. Medley, we did the importance of education for our boys. Then Sergeant Price coordinated a group of men, the principal, Mr. Thompson, and some other men, and they did mannerisms with our boys. Then we did Assemblyman Benji Wimberly. He did No Fathers for Our Sons. Tim and Omegas came in and did that presentation for our boys. Then Street Keepers, the Brothers, and the Muscle Team, they came in and did Street Life with our boys. And now our final one is going to be, and then last week we went actually, like you were saying earlier, we went to the jail and they did a reality check. And I thought that Mr. Medley and to the listener audience, we have to keep our Ben out of jail. When I went,
yes, we do.
As I'm walking through the prison or through the jail, I couldn't look into the cells because I know that some of my family members were in there. And as I'm walking, nobody could tell, but the whole time that I'm walking through the jail, I am crying. And when we went and we had those 8 men and women speak to us, and I'm looking and I've seen them before out, and they telling us how much time, 27 years, 12 years, this is what they're looking forward to. But they're trying to keep these young men, our young boys, out of jail. And all I'm doing is sitting in the back, and I'm just crying, and I keep thinking in my head, what am I going to do to make sure that we stop our young men from going to jail for stupid things, like they were saying, attempted murder, for gang stuff, and now nobody comes to see them. Now nobody puts money in their commissary. Burglaries and robberies because they've been on drugs. I thought in my head, no matter what it is I have to do, I want to be a part of decreasing our men from going into jail, because that should be a goal for us.
The crazy thing about, if you listen to what Sharon is saying, if that happens, she's putting herself out of a job. Because in order for us to need and require a police force, you will always need and require folks breaking the law. But what she's saying is, I'm trying to get as many people from breaking the law as possible. So essentially, she's trying to put herself out of a job. And
let me look. Could I, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, go on.
Just to correct you a little bit. It's always going to be people committing crimes. So policing are never go out of work. But we should not be the majority.
That's correct.
We should not be the majority. Think about this. 50 years ago, African blacks weren't the majority in jail. We don't need to be the majority. People are going to do stupid things, but our stupidity is just way too high.
Yes, indeed. And I was on that trip last week, and it was, and I've done that trip before, and each time it's an interesting experience. And I tell folks all the time, I've visited folks in jail, I've done these field trips. It's something about the doors in jails that have a distinct and individual sound. I've been to Rahway Prison. I've been to Passaic County Jail. I've been to some of the other jails. Those doors have a distinct sound when they shut. And no one should have to ever want to have that experience of being in there. And I told Sharon as we were sitting there, the inmates who was addressing the young men, they were and when I say this, folks, don't get homophobic and all kinds of craziness on me when I say this, but they were some attractive and good-looking men.
They were.
They really were. That would make somebody a fine husband or a fine mate or a fine upstanding citizen. They were attractive, well-groomed, well-spoken. My point is, there was no reason for them to be sitting behind anybody's bars looking at 25 to life.
Yes, I agree. So we would not be, in our community, people don't have to go to jail for other people to eat. You don't be filling the prisons up. And we don't need to. We need to make maybe corrections go out of business, but we'll always have people that's going to do things. We just need not. And then, and everybody, all the people that we spoke to, all the men and women that spoke for Reality Check, except for one, could have been our sons and daughters. Everybody was 29,
that's
30,
correct.
21, these young 19. And expecting to be in jail until they're 40 years old.
And some of them
40 or 50 years old. And so we have to look at that.
Right.
And instead of saying, I think that instead of allowing, I know that this is a media, but the media we can't allow our media to focus just on police.
Yes.
On in our communities,
yes,
and change our communities, because our communities is we're the only community who is not a community. Like Dr. Anderson said yesterday, we have to stop being neighborhoods and start being communities.
Yes,
blacks we're not communities.
And
being an opposition in our community, our young boys, and they got to get kicked out. Because we can't have you killing our babies and robbing our women and and robbing our elderly unsafe. We can't have all of that. We have to start to stand up, and we got to do. And Mr. Medley, I'm going to say it.
I want you to say it.
I want them. They y'all could come for me. I'm just being honest. Parents, y'all gotta step your game up.
Well, the bottom line is this. And I heard, and I've been trying to get Umar on the show. He keeps blowing me off. Umar Johnson, Dr. Umar Johnson, I was in a session with him a couple months ago out in Montclair, and he was straight up as well. He said, parents, you're trifling. And I could not agree with him more. I had a parent come to the school yesterday and said she was going to do everything in her power to get me voted out. I said, please get me voted out. She said, you don't do nothing. I tell you, I wish more people would do the type of nothing I'm doing. She said, you as principal, you're a bad principal. You don't do anything. And I said, ma'am, please go down and vote me out. So then she goes on to say, Mr. Medley, the parents out there, they're laughing at you. I said, they laughed at Jesus. But I tell you, but the bottom line is, you're right.
Yes, they very much should come in and my mother and become a team with the schools. They should become a team. The parents don't realize that your child will lie to you.
That's right.
Why would you think that this teacher don't like your kid after your kid done said that F word to them, smack cups out their hands? This is some things that teachers have to go through. And then you saying that this teacher's supposed to love your child, that you didn't tell your child. Your child's supposed to only come to school to learn, to sit and learn.
Right.
And then you get upset that I call you to come in about your child who's misbehaving.
That's correct.
You can't continue. They feel, I don't know what they feel. They have a million excuses for it. They don't have any father. They don't have a father in the home.
Right.
Well, then that doesn't mean they're supposed to be bad.
That's correct.
Are you not having the other parent? My mother did not have a mother or a father, and I've never heard my mother complain, not one time. And she's been an excellent parent. I never heard her say, "Well, my mother wasn't here for me." No. So what? They don't have a father.
Right.
Hey, listen. You know, nobody asked to be born.
That's right. I say the same
Nobody
thing
asked to be
almost
born.
daily. That's correct. We are in the 8 o'clock hour. I need to do a couple of things. If you've just joined us, and I pray and I truly hope that you've been with me since 6, but certainly if not since 6, since 7:30, as Sergeant Sharon Easton is on the line with me. We're talking about so many things, but we're keeping it, and she's right. The media has to take that spotlight solely off of the police department. The same thing in education, and some of this accountability has to be placed in the homes. Sharon, I was saying in the last hour, and I hate giving the publicity to this particular author and the book title, but his name is Colin Flaherty, Flaherty, and he's written a book called Don't Make the Black Kids Angry. And his premise of the book is it is black folks that has just all the ills in America is due to black people. All the riots, all the destruction, everything is due to black people. And that the media never focuses on black on white crime. It always focuses on police on black crime. That's what it says. A white police officer on black kid crime. That's all the media focuses on. That it doesn't tell the real story of black on white crime. So I'm taking that a step further, is that it doesn't tell the story on black crime either. Based on what you were just saying, that you know what, all of it has got to stop. Regardless, the killing, the shooting, the robbing, the stealing, all of it has to stop.
Yeah. And we have to be honest with our community and just stop saying that it's somebody else's fault.
That's correct.
It's our fault.
That's correct.
If our kids aren't learning, if you don't buy your kids, and I'm not using this because a lot of people phrase this. What I'm saying is real because I've seen it. They don't need you have to work for a $100 pair of sneakers.
That's right.
It's one hand washes the other. I'm not going to give you this unless I'm not saying to a parent, don't buy it, but I'm not going to buy it and you're an F student. Oh, no, you ain't getting none of that. You can't have, I'm going to listen. To me, I have the most beautiful daughters in the world. I will give them everything. But right now, listen what they have to give me. One of them gave me their master's degree.
Right.
That's what they gave me.
Right.
So, yes, I went out and brought her a car. My baby daughter gave me her bachelor's degree. Guess what? I helped her get money to get her a condom.
That's right.
Because look what they gave me. Now, if your student is your kid is giving you grief, then guess what? You don't wear this, and you might as well get picked at because I'm not buying you $120 sneakers. I'm not going to go sit in front of Foot Locker and get the new Jordans for you, and you giving me F's and D's.
Absolutely.
And being disrespectful. You don't get that.
Absolutely.
See, that's where our confusion comes.
That's where it is.
I don't mind spending the money on you, but listen, one hand washes the other.
That's where I'm
telling you.
You
don't understand the phone calls that I get for parents who's having problems with 9-year-olds and up, and our boys. And then you go there, and for some reason, young kids, parents believe their kids supposed to be able to negotiate with them. There's no negotiations on when I'm feeding you. There's no negotiation. The rule is this. The person who has to go, if you in the conversation, too many parents have conversations with their kids that's not necessary. They don't know anything. What does a 9-year-old know? What can a 9-year-old tell me? What can a 12-year-old tell me? Like I told my granddaughter, if you don't want to clean your room, then don't dirty
it. This is true.
Dishes, then
don't dirty the dishes. That's it. Let me share this with the audience, and then we're going to continue on, and then me and you will be together in another 50 minutes or so.
Yes.
Brave New Radio. Give us your tired, your poor, your hungry, your rockers, your punks, your freaks, your geeks, your Greeks, your party animals, your gangsters, your commuters, your residents, your students, your alums, your lawyers, your truckers, your calls, your tweets. And we'll give you rock, classic, indie, punk, alternative, easy, hard, raps, rhymes, mixes, and drops. We'll give you kick-ass music because we're WPSC 88.7 FM, Brave New Radio. Sound good?
WPSC-FM 88.7, Wayne, New Jersey.
Part of the William Paterson Broadcast Network, Brave New Radio.
Straight from the WP 88.7 FM Weather Center, here's your local forecast.
All right, looking at the weather real quick. We're looking at right now 64.1 degrees, 76 today as a high, 49 as a low. Rain showers this morning, mainly clear tonight, and then tomorrow Sunday, sunshine and some clouds, high around 75. A few clouds from time to time on Sunday night. Again, high of 75, low of 54. Monday, high of 80, low of 63. We're going to have some variable clouds with scattered thunderstorms both during the day and during the evening. On Tuesday, scattered thunderstorms, high near 85. Mostly clear Tuesday night. And then Wednesday, mainly sunny, high of 86, low of 65. That is the weather brought to you right here from the WP 88.7 FM Weather Center. And I have been speaking with Sharon Easton. And I'm going to share this last bit of information with you so we can continue our interview. And then before you know it, Sharon will be out and I'll be out of here. And we'll be off working with our young men.
The cow says,
I love you.
To a child, it's just something else to play with. Lock it up, because 1.7 million children in the U.S. are living with unlocked and loaded guns. Get involved at ceasefireusa.org.
All right, we're coming down to the last few minutes. Actually, I'm going to give however long, I don't know how long you need to get from where you are to the... Oh, are you at the office already?
No, I'm on my way. I'm driving there right now.
Oh, you're driving there? Okay, then so all right, then so I won't be holding you up then because I don't want you to be late because I know we've actually invited the parents there this morning for a special breakfast with their boys, and we have some speakers for them as well. But it is so crucial, the things that we've been talking about for the last, now for me, over 2 hours. And I just put on my Hootsuite page, which goes out to Facebook and everything. If you're not tuned into this station right now to hear Sergeant Sharon Easton, shame on you. Because the things that we're talking about is so critical. And we were talking about parenting before I shared that information with you. And Sharon, truth be told, and nobody wants to hold parents' feet to the fire, but the crux of all of our issues are the lack of parenting. And for some parents, they really don't know what to do. But for a lot of them, as you said, they're feeding into it. Like you said, there's no way in the world no child should have 150. First off, I wouldn't have no $150 Jordans, even if they were A students. But certainly no F&D students that is not even trying and think they actually deserve these video games and these sneakers, and yet they're going to schools and terrorizing them. And then you're rewarding them with these things. It sends the wrong message.
Yes. And yes. They definitely, they have to, the parents have to, it's some things that, you know, I'm not going to say go back to TVs with handles on them, you know, or with antennas, but it's some things that we should never get away from, the way that our parents taught us. You have to go in, that education is the most important thing. Our kids and parents have to, my children, I told them from day one, that now everybody does not have to go to college, but you have to finish high school and you have to have a trade. You have to do that. Or you have to go to college. One or the other. You make sure in your head that they don't have a choice. Your children don't know that they have choices. You let them believe that they had choices. You don't have any choice that you would go to school and not do your homework. I don't feel like doing my homework. I don't care what you feel.
No,
I mean, doing it. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? These are the conversations, and people might think, no, yes. These are the conversations. It's mothers. Let me just say this, and I'm being real with Paterson. I am so sorry. I'm working the 1st and the 4th ward, and if you saw, I see young girls and young boys all under the age of 17 out in the street at 10, 11, and 12 o'clock at night. And guess what I don't see? I don't see a parent coming to look for them. Because all I look at Tiffany and Shaquana and Ramon, and 10 o'clock at night and he's 12 or 13 years old, I would be worried to death. I'm worried about my daughters now, and they're 29 and 30 years old, and I'm worried about them. And nobody's worried about where's Raekwon. You don't see him missing in the house and it's 10 o'clock and it's 11 o'clock. I don't care who house they said they're supposed to be over. If you're not checking with that parent and it's a Monday night, your child's supposed to be home. And if you don't want to be bothered with your child, you should not have had your child.
And this is true. And see, listening audience, this is what I need you to be clear on. You're hearing this from an educator's point of view of what I see every day in the school, and you're hearing it from a police officer's point of view of what she sees on the streets. And we're telling you it's bad. And I hate to say it, but some accountability is because of you. And it's not a matter of blame, but there's certain things that must happen.
Mr. Medley, let me just say this. I'm blaming you. I'm tired of not talking straight to urban parents. I'm blaming you. Yeah, you to blame. Because let me tell you something. If Johnny from Heldon went and shot up school, whatever, in Heldon, they would blame that parent. They wouldn't say jack about, it's excuse. No excuses. There's no excuse whether you live in urban Paterson or a suburb that your child has to have violent tendencies. There's no reason for that. If you shouldn't see everything that you see, they shouldn't know. Shouldn't hear profanity. You shouldn't allow that around your child. It's certain things that you as an adult should not allow around your child.
It's true, because our kids are matter of fact, one of the little boys in our program yesterday brought a pair of handcuffs to school and I don't know if he's going to be with us this morning or not, but brought a pair of handcuffs to school, the little toy handcuffs, was trying to put it on the girls and had like either some lipstick or some kind of marker where he was trying to mark their faces up. So his intent was he was going to handcuff them and then mark them. Where do you see that kind of stuff from?
And I happen to be a fan of all Pam Grier movies. My movies, I was in my 30s, because you couldn't see certain things on TV.
Right.
You couldn't see these. So I couldn't see certain things. My mother would not allow me. She wouldn't allow me to hear Richard Pryor. That your child could keep your child out of grown folks' conversation. Easy to do. Who give these parenting meetings and workshops on different ways to be a better parent. Listen, DVR Housewives, right? Because I'm a reality. I love it. That's one of my secrets. I love it, and I'm not ashamed to say it. But guess what? I DVR, and when I get my Saturday, Sunday chill, I'll stay in bed all day and watch it. That's what you do. But if your school is calling you and telling you how to be a better parent, and you're not that great of a parent when everybody is calling you to come and check on your son every week, you getting a phone call, that's saying something about you.
Absolutely. And that's what that's this particular parent that I was sharing with you about a couple of minutes ago. That's the case. She gets a call just about every day for her first grade son. And now the boy did something and he received yet another suspension. So now she's telling me what a horrible principal I am because her son got suspended. I said, well,
we keep saying the truth.
That's the one that's voted out because I'm such a horrible principal, but it's her son that keeps hitting kids. And so I said, well, if you would tell your son to stop hitting kids, we'd stop having these conversations. Oh, well, you got to tell the other kids to stop hitting too. Oh, we have. I need the whole community to stop hitting each other. Mm-hmm. Or as you said, the neighborhood, because I agree with the doctor or Mr. whoever it was.
If you parent, if you're over 30 years old and you say something like, I ain't no snitch, I'm not no rat, then you're a problem. Because a parent, a person who has a child can never say to a child, don't snitch or rat.
Well,
years old, that should be out of your vocabulary.
Tell you what,
especially if you're a person.
That definition we got a snitch last week was the best one I had ever heard. When that young man stood up and said, let me give you boys the definition of snitch. And that is, if the two of you are doing something wrong together and one of you decide to tell on the other one that was also doing wrong, that's a snitch. Now, if one of you, right, if you are the one that are just doing your right thing, trying to do right, and you see something going wrong and you need to let somebody know or tell somebody, that's not a snitch. That was the best definition of I had ever heard. And oddly enough, that situation came up this week. And it was with that call I gave you the other morning, that young man. And I said, you were there when that definition of snitch came up. You heard that man give you the definition. And yet both of you stood there and watched this go on, and neither one of you said anything. And so, yet I'm with you. This whole notion of snitch has to be defined. If there's a difference between being a good citizen, that you're doing the right thing, and now you tell somebody to stop something from going on, versus both of you are doing something wrong, and now you figure you're going to dime your boy or your girl out to keep you out of trouble.
And we're prisoners of our own community. We can't allow that anymore. We're scared. You have grown men. This is what our think tank was talking about in one of our meetings. When you are a grown man and you take care, you pay taxes, and you talk about, it's 9 o'clock, I got to get in the house, because you scared of your 14, 15-year-old and 16-year-old boys, that's a problem.
Yes, indeed it is.
That's a problem, because we can talk and say, these men are punks, and they'll talk about, but that doctor, let me tell you something, that punk doctor in Wayne or that punk lawyer in Wayne, he can run through his community at 9 o'clock at night jogging. How about
That's right.
So don't call other people in other communities punks when they can go through their communities, jog all night long in their shorts, right? And the only thing they got to worry about is getting hit by a car. And us,
that's right.
It's 9 o'clock at night, and we're talking about we can't ride through certain communities at 9 o'clock at night because of our 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old boys.
And we
That's right. We need to check ourselves and check our boys. Because with me working with the think tank and working with Team Muscle and working with the brothers, our young men, in my mind, are amazing. I love working with them. Since they had I forgot what Casey said. He doesn't call it a truce anymore. He calls it something else, because truce makes it seem like it's criminal-like. But I forgot the way that he phrased it. But with those young men and meeting with those young men, now we're looking to change their mindset. And so that's going to take a little bit of time. It took some time to get this way, so it may take a little bit of time to change their mindset. But the thing is that I'm finding them not to be as bad as I thought it was, versus us allowing them to get away with everything.
That's right.
See, we've been allowing them to get away with everything, that they just black out and do whatever the hell they want, because nobody's ever stood up to them and said, what, y'all ain't going to do this here. You got people scared.
That's right.
And so now that we stand up to them, they're like, well, I didn't realize it was that bad. I didn't know that it wasn't okay for me to sit on your porch and that it's not my house.
Right.
This is the stuff that we go through. They don't understand what these poor people in the 1st and 4th ward and some other wards go through, where there's a group of young men that will just sit in front of their property. And you go, well, who lives here? And they look at you, I don't know.
That's right.
They don't even live there, and they're sitting on these people's property.
That's
this is the stuff that we got to talk about, and stop talking about other stuff, and start talking about what's going on in our communities and how do we change it so our communities can be safe and our young men can believe that they can be the productive citizens that every other community is.
And Sergeant Easton is not exaggerating that. You have folks, they will sit.
Matter of fact, I'm not even telling you.
She's probably not even, you're right. They will sit on your porch smoking Black and Milds. They will sit on the porch texting. They will sit, matter of fact, they'll move beyond Black and Mild, smoke weed. They'll be sitting there talking and cursing, and this nigga that, and that nigga this, and this that. And like she said, it's not even their property. And they have no regard or respect for the homeowner that's trying to get in their place. The homeowner has to stumble over them to get into their house.
Yeah. And then people keep it, and what's going on is that the community is constantly calling on them, and they should be.
And I'm glad people think, people constantly call up on these young people.
That's right.
And they should. But the parents, if your child is under 17, they should know. And let me tell you, I told one of our parents whose son was a part of our program, and she's a young parent. She's only 30-something years. She's 28 or 30, and she's young, and he's only 12. And she's giving him everything. And she took the phone, he took it back, And I told her,
right.
Be careful. And I tell this to young mothers, because again, you don't know how deep this goes, and this is going to disturb some people. If you keep acting like your son is your man, he's going to sooner or later believe he's your man, and he's going to want other things from you.
That's right.
Because we've had those situations.
It is true, and again, I'm with you. I see it. I see it every day at the school.
So I see young mothers taking care of they're raising. Be careful. This is a phrase. I didn't make this phrase up, audience. So please don't get mad at me when I say it. A good friend of mine, whose son is 36 years old. She came to me about 2 years ago asking for help, and I said, "Well, what is going on?" She said, "Sharon, I think I've raised a bum." I said, "What?" She said, "Yes, I think I've raised a bum." I said, "Explain that to me." She said, "Sharon, I've been taking care of him since he was born. I take care of his daughter. He had only worked one job, and that was only for 30 days.
Wow.
All he does, she feeds him. Her and her daughter actually buy his clothes. She herself, she's very pretty, this woman. She can't keep a man because he believes he's her man.
Because he in there, that's right.
So you have to be careful how you raise your son the way you would want a husband to be to you. Raise him to learn to take care of you. We're taking care of them.
Right.
We're taking care of them, and they don't have a reason to leave. Why would I leave a house when you're supplying all my needs?
I know that's right.
Soon as you think when a parent thinks they're going to be 18 and that boy, he's going to be out of here when he's 18, where's he going to afford a $1,300 rent?
Right.
With no high school diploma.
Right.
How he's going to leave your house? He's not going to leave your house. What he's going to do, he's going to leave your house for 5 minutes and go to this girl house. She's going to kick him out because he's of no value.
Of
he's
course.
not bringing anything to the table. Then he's going to be back with you, and you're going to try to ask for help. And guess what? He's out of school now, so you know what? Nobody helps you anymore.
Correct. I need to share this last bit of information with the listening audience. I'm going to do that, and we'll continue our conversation. But again, let somebody know that this conversation is more critical and important than anyone would believe.
Let's take a look at some stats on sexual assault in the U.S. About 54% of rapes are not reported. The chance of getting raped in prison is 1 in 10, while a woman's chance of getting raped while walking down a street in America is 1 in 5. Think that's crazy? Well, every 2 minutes, a woman is sexually assaulted in the U.S. It's on us to prevent sexual assault. Don't sit back and watch these numbers grow. Visit www.feminist.org to see how you can take action.
911 emergency. Help. Calm down. Can you do me one favor, sir? Yeah. What's the name of that song that's playing?
What? Ever wanted to know what those songs are on the radio? Visit twitter.com/Brave New Radio and keep you updated right here on 88.7 FM, Brave New Radio.
Listen to Brave New Radio on your smartphone with TuneIn Radio.
You're listening to The Reading Circle with Marc Medley on Brave New Radio.
Yes, we did extend our reading circle this morning because the conversation was that important. It is an honest conversation. It's been an honest conversation since the 6 o'clock hour. We continued on with Sharon, our Sergeant Sharon Easton from the Paterson Police Department. We continued on with her at 7:30. The conversation has remained honest. We are not going to be able to fix these problems until we face them. As long as we continue to stay in denial and pretending like it's not there, and all these things that Sharon has been talking about, it will continue until some of us stand up and say enough. And at some point, it's going to happen because, like she said earlier, they're calling the folks who are trying to do the right thing up. at some point, Op is going to get tired of all this, and Op is going to overtake the evil. And that's what we're talking about this morning. And so I know it's about 8:30. Did you reach yet, Sharon?
Yeah, I'm here now.
All right, so she's over there at the center. I'm going to join her in about 40 minutes or so. By the time I get there, we've been working with a group of my boys from the school for the last 7 Saturdays now. And as I said earlier, it has made a difference. We're trying to catch them at an early age so that one day they do not cross Sharon's path. Like right now, they've crossed her path in a friendly mode. We don't want them to cross her path in an instance where she's having to arrest them. That's what we're trying to head off. So if us being Op, if that's what we need to be called, then Op we are.
Mm-hmm.
So again, we're gonna wrap up the segment in a couple of minutes. But again, anything you'd like to share with the listener, feel free.
Oh, you asking me, Mr. Medley?
Yeah, anything else that you want to share with the listening office, feel free.
Okay, Mr. Medley, all I can say to the parents in the listening audience of Paterson, we have to become a community. We're going to. This is one thing. I'm sorry, Mr. Medley. I wanted to put a pin in it. And 28th, we're going to be. We have Camp Hope. Director Speziel has got us Camp Hope for free. So we're going to be busing 70 kids up to Camp Hope every day for a week. We're going to be filling them with fun and knowledge. I believe in both. I believe I'm going to give you knowledge, and then you can have fun. Not the other way around, because you might be tired. So we're going to give you knowledge, and then we're going to allow them to have some fun.
That's right.
So we're going to, and this is for students between the age of 7 to 17. So that's an important endeavor. This Keep Paterson Safe program this summer, I want people to start to come out their doors now, to start to come to community meetings to help better their community now. You have to get up, DVR all your television shows, your sports program. You can now DVR them. So it's no reason for parents or the community to miss important meetings because we're taxpayers. You pay a lot of taxes. We want to be able to have cookouts and different events where we don't have to worry about gun violence. Now we're trying to curtail that. So now our community needs to come out. And I just want to say thank you so much, Mr. Medley, for inviting me to be on your radio show. This is one of my first radio shows, and I didn't feel as nervous as I thought I was going to be. But thank you so much, and I think that you do a wonderful job.
Thank you. And one of the things I strive to do is make all my guests feel comfortable. I always tell them it's very conversational. You don't even think in terms of being on the radio. Just talk on your telephone as if we were talking. And that's what. Again, the message was so important. It's recorded. I'm going to make sure that I give you an email copy. I'm going to give you the link because it's going to be on YouTube. I'm going to send you the link, and you can send it out, e-blast it to anybody you would like. I mean, once I share it with the guest, it's free for them to do whatever they want. But thank you for taking the last-minute invitation, because once I put the show together for this morning with Tony, I thought, and particularly knowing that today was our last day with the boys, I said, you know what, that would be a great combination. And I'm so glad that you took me up on the offer, because you did great. The information you shared was wonderful. And I will see you in about 40 minutes or so.
All right, thank you.
All
Bye-bye.
Right. Talk to you in about 40. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.